The year is 1998, the World Cup final. France versus Brazil. 70,000 people packed into the Stade de France. And the best player on earth does not show up. His name is on the team sheet. He walks out onto the pitch, but he is not there. You already know the result. France won 3-0. You probably know that Ronaldo looked pale, vacant, almost sleepwalking through 90 minutes. What you might not know is what happened in the hours before that match, and why that single night, that single disappearance, somehow makes the case for Ronaldo Nazário being the greatest footballer who ever lived. Even stronger, not weaker, stronger. Because to understand that final, you first have to understand what he was before it. Go back to 1994, Ronaldo is 17 years old. He is not yet a legend. He is not yet a brand. He is a teenager from Bento Ribeiro, a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of Rio de Janeiro, who grew up kicking balls in the street with no shoes because shoes were expensive. His father left when he was young. His mother worked double shifts. Football was not a dream. It was the only door out. Romario, Brazil's star striker, watched him in training that year and told the coaching staff something simple. He said the kid was already better than most professionals in that squad. Romario was not a man who handed out compliments. Brazil manager Carlos Alberto Parreira did not start Ronaldo in a single match at the 1994 World Cup, but he put him on as a substitute. Brazil won. Ronaldo got a winner's medal at 17 without playing a single minute. He cried. He said years later he did not even feel like he deserved to hold the trophy. That hunger, that feeling of being so close but not yet arrived, became the engine of everything that followed. By 1995, PSV Eindhoven had signed him from Cruzeiro for $3.2 million. In one season in the Netherlands he scored 54 goals in 57 appearances, 54 goals. A ratio that most strikers in the history of the sport never come close to across their entire careers. Bobby Robson, who managed PSV at the time, said publicly that he had never coached a player with that combination of speed, technique, and instinct. Robson was a man who had managed Diego Maradona-era Barcelona, who had worked with some of the finest players Europe had produced. And he said he had never seen anything like this. Barcelona came calling. A transfer fee of $19.5 million, a number that shocked European football in 1996. But here is what gets forgotten. Ronaldo was 18 years old. He arrived in Spain as a teenager, and in his only season at Camp Nou, he scored 47 goals. He won the FIFA World Player of the Year award. At 18. Let that land for a moment. Not at 25 after a decade of top-level football. Not after winning the Champions League or the World Cup. At 18 years old, the world's governing football body looked at every player on the planet and said this teenager is the best of all of them. Barcelona did not want to let him go. There was a legal battle over his contract. There were accusations, counter-accusations, injunctions filed in Spanish courts. Ronaldo eventually moved to Inter Milan in the summer of 1997 for a world record transfer fee of $27 million, and Inter became the stage on which he produced what many football historians still consider the single greatest individual season in the history of the sport. In the 1997-98 Serie A season, Italian football was the most physically and tactically demanding league in the world. Defenders were not just good, they were ruthless. Alessandro Costacurta, Paolo Maldini, Fabio Cannavaro, men who had spent their careers making strikers disappear. And Ronaldo, at 21 years old, ran through them as if they were not there. He finished that season with 25 goals in 32 league appearances. He added the UEFA Cup to his collection. He won the FIFA World Player of the Year for the second consecutive year, to World Player of the Year awards, before the age of 22. No one in the history of the award had done that. And then came France 1998. Brazil entered that tournament as favourites. They had Rivaldo. They had Roberto Carlos, whose free kick against France in a warm-up match had physicists genuinely questioning the laws of aerodynamics. They had Cafu, they had Ronaldo, and Ronaldo had been magnificent throughout the tournament. 6 goals, 2 assists. He had taken apart Chile, Denmark, and the Netherlands on the way to the final. The night before the final, something happened in the team hotel that no one fully explained for years afterward. Ronaldo suffered a convulsive episode in his room. His teammate Roberto Carlos found him on the floor, * he was taken to hospital, examined, and cleared to play, though what exactly caused the episode has never been definitively confirmed. The Brazilian Football Federation initially left his name off the starting team sheet, then reinstated it less than an hour before kickoff. He played. He should not have played. France dismantled Brazil with a merciless efficiency that had nothing to do with talent differentials and everything to do with the fact that Brazil's greatest weapon was simply absent in any meaningful sense. * Zinedine Zidane scored twice from corners. Emmanuel Petit added a third. The scoreline read 3-0, and Ronaldo, the best player on the planet, was a ghost. Journalists wrote him off that night. Critics suggested he had buckled under pressure. Some said the episode was invented to cover a panic attack. Others said it was something more serious. The noise was loud, and it was cruel, and almost all of it was wrong. What happened next is what separates the merely great from the historically immortal. In 1999, Ronaldo's right knee gave way during a match. The anterior cruciate ligament, surgery, * long recovery. He came back. He played, tentatively, carefully, not yet himself. And then in April 2000, the left knee this time. Another rupture, another surgery, * the surgeon who operated on him told reporters that the damage was so severe he was not certain Ronaldo would ever play professional football again. 2 years of his career, gone. 2 years of a body that had already given so much. He was 23 years old when the injuries began. He was 25 when they were done with him. Or seemed to be. Medical staff at Inter Milan said publicly that his muscle had grown around the original injury site in a way that had never been documented before. * His body had literally adapted to try to compensate. He was doing things physiologically that doctors had no reference point for. He spent those years not just recovering, not just training, * he was rebuilding himself, anatomy by anatomy. Because football was still the only thing that made sense, he returned. He played. He was never quite the same player physically. The explosive burst over the first 3 yards, the freakish acceleration that had made defenders look stationary, was diminished. And it did not matter, * because what replaced it was something different and, in its own way, more beautiful. He became a complete striker. The instinct was still there. The movement was still devastating. * But now he read the game differently, positioned himself more intelligently, and finished with a calm that bordered on arrogance. The 2000 World Cup in Japan and South Korea, Brazil's opening match against Turkey, a comfortable win. Then China, then Costa Rica, then England, then Belgium, then England again, then Turkey again in the semi-final, and then Germany in the final in Yokohama. This time, Ronaldo showed up. He scored twice. Both goals clinical, unhurried, the product of a mind that had spent for years in rehabilitation rooms thinking about exactly these moments. * The second goal, a darting run onto a Rivaldo pass and a low finish past Oliver Kahn, was watched by 80,000 people in the stadium and hundreds of millions on television. He tore his shirt off and ran. He screamed. And every person watching understood that what they were seeing was not just a goal in a World Cup final. * It was a man who had been written off, who had been told he was finished, reclaiming something that had been taken from him. He won his 3rd FIFA World Player of the Year award that year. The only other player in history to win 3 is Ronaldo Cristiano, who required 17 seasons at the top of world football to match what Ronaldo Nazário did in a career interrupted by injuries that would have ended most athletes permanently. Journalist and football historian Jonathan Wilson, writing about the 2000 World Cup years later, called Ronaldo's final performance the most emotionally resonant individual display in the history of the tournament. Not the most technically brilliant, * not the most statistically dominant, the most emotionally resonant. Because context matters in sport. And the context of everything Ronaldo had been through made those 2 goals in Yokohama carry a weight that pure talent alone cannot generate. He went on to win La Liga with Real Madrid. He scored 94 goals for Madrid in 127 appearances. He played until 2011. He had more surgeries, more setbacks. He kept coming back. Peel called him the best striker he had ever seen. Peel, who is not a man inclined to diminish his own legacy by praising others too freely, Ronaldo Nazário de Lima scored 350 to club goals across his career, 60 to international goals for Brazil in 98 appearances, and produced some of the most breathtaking individual performances the sport has ever witnessed across 5 countries and 5 clubs. But here is the thing. None of those numbers fully explain why he belongs at the top of any serious conversation about the greatest footballer of all time. The numbers are astonishing. The numbers are not the point is what he did in the face of everything.